If Nintendo's plan was to have the whole world talking about Mario Kart World by any means necessary, congratulations, they succeeded. But something tells me Nintendo would have preferred it if the discourse around it was less negative. And yet, it seems like their announcement plan with this game was specifically crafted to piss people off as much as possible. And the funny thing is, generally speaking, people seem to actually like what they've been seeing of the game itself. It's everything around it that has been, I would say, mismanaged. Now, this video isn't meant to be just a summary of Nintendo's marketing plan for Mario Kart World. I'd wager most of you have been seeing it play out in real time. This is more meant to try to make sense of what the hell the plan even was, the mistakes that have been made, and how they could have been fixed or prevented. Let's start at the beginning, January 16, 2025, back when everything was still good and Nintendo actually kinda nailed it. The initial teaser of Mario Kart World in the Switch 2 reveal was short and sweet, letting us know just enough without really drawing attention to anything in particular. There were the redesigns of the main cast, particularly Donkey Kong, that drummed up interest and attention, as well as the 24 starting spots that accurately led to analysis that the number of racers might get increased. And not to mention that just the general confirmation of yes, there is a new Mario Kart game coming for the first time in forever was enough to get everyone intrigued at least. It was a classic show don't tell trailer, done in the best way possible. Because while Nintendo may not have said a word about what we saw here, it definitely got the community talking, essentially doing Nintendo's work for them. This initial teaser also confirmed the date for the full-on, dedicated Nintendo Switch 2 Direct for April 2nd, which meant there was now a period of about 2 months of complete radio silence. This is not really a problem though. Nintendo hadn't even really acknowledged the game yet, so there was no need or obligation to speak on it further. And so we arrive at the start of April without any further material, and it is time for the information floodgates to be unleashed in full force. Mario Kart World gets a very sizable trailer at the start of the Direct, which is a good decision because it allows Nintendo to use it as an exemplary game throughout the Direct when showcasing all kind of new features. In a way, it makes Mario Kart World just as much of the centerpiece of this Direct as the console itself, with it constantly being brought back in to showcase new features. It shows Nintendo has faith in the game, which isn't really a surprise seeing as this is the sequel to the Switch's most successful title, but still. From a purely content standpoint, I think what we see of Mario Kart World in this first Direct is incredibly strong. The open world focus is presented and looks phenomenal, the art style looks great and very charming, all kinds of new racers are introduced that have kept people talking to this very day, costumes are confirmed and shown off, and we just generally lay eyes on a game that truly feels like a new, refined Mario Kart game. Which sounds easy, but with the ridiculous amount of content Mario Kart 8 Deluxe ended up with, really was not. They had to show enough here to convince people they needed this, rather than 8 Deluxe, its gazillion courses, and for about 40 minutes, I think they had people right where they wanted them. But then it happened. I doubt you'll have missed this news because it has become the talking point ever since. Not the cow, not the return of Toad's Factory or Daisy in a swimsuit, but the price of this game. And this is where I fail to see Nintendo's plans. Let me clarify that. I'm not talking about the price itself. Games for $80 were probably bound to happen someday. I think a general price increase from 60 to 70 for Switch 2 games was to be expected, so I'm not super surprised Nintendo is testing the waters with an $80 game. Whether you and I think it's too much, or hey, maybe you even think it's too little, I don't know you. It doesn't really matter a whole lot for what I'm trying to talk about here. Because the fact of the matter is that price hikes are always going to be unpopular. Will always be something that pisses at least a subset of people off, and if there's one thing you don't want misinformation about, it's this. And yet, Nintendo let this get out of control completely. First of all, why the hell was the price not in the Direct? Would it really have killed them to spend maybe 3 minutes less teaching the world what Discord was and instead explain what the price is, why the price is what it is, and what it means for the future? Because honestly, I don't think the answer is that shocking. In the interviews following the Direct, it quickly became clear that Nintendo wants to be a bit more flexible with game pricing for Switch 2, and we saw premium games being premium money before with Tears of the Kingdom, which did cause some minor controversy, but I don't think it sold even one copy less than it would have done at $60. So if they had come out and said, Hey guys, from now on our new base price for games is $70, which is the same as Xbox and PlayStation, and for a small group of titles that have cost an extraordinary amount of development time and money to make, we will charge $80 or something along that train of thought. The exact same price would have caused a lot less uproar, I'm sure of it. Instead, we were now forced to find out right after the Direct from their own store as if they expected us to pre-order Mario Kart without even looking at the price. It's clear Nintendo knows the best way to market their products right now is by not being too childish, judging by the complete lack of kids in their marketing these days. And yet, they infantilized the hell out of us as an audience with this move. And because they didn't communicate and just swept it under the rug on their website, it also caused a storm of misinformation. Because in Europe, where my lovely accent is from, the price of the game is actually not $80, it's €90 for physical, €80 for digital. This being a Europe only thing was not well communicated, however, and so it spread like wildfire that the price of Mario Kart World would be $90 in the US, which is and was never true. And so once again, Nintendo's apparent lack of a plan has made something that really didn't have to be a huge uproar into a community-wide controversy. Let me tell you, as someone from Europe, the €90 physical price didn't really bother me at all. Because I know that, unlike in the US, European stores frequently sell their games for less than the official retail price. I have so many games in my library that I bought at launch for like $5 or $10 cheaper than the official price, simply because that's how physical game stores in Europe operate. I also often hear that Nintendo games never drop in price, but in Europe they definitely do. You can pick up new copies of titles like Xenoblade, Fire Emblem, Kirby or Pikmin for like $30 to $40 here at several official sellers. Mario games don't tend to drop that hard, but it's still likely €50 and that's without any D-word discount, just so we're clear. Hell, like 2 minutes after the Switch 2 Direct ended, I could have already bought Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza for €5 cheaper than MSRP. That's how little stores here respect these guidelines. So point being, had Nintendo actually communicated with us and given us a PR-friendly explanation for why these games are more expensive in Europe, a ton of frustration and misinformation could have been prevented. But even now, this is not where Nintendo's marketing failures here end. Revealed during the Switch 2 Direct was a dedicated Mario Kart World Direct, set for 2 weeks later. It has since aired, as I'm sure you know, and it has left me completely baffled as to what Nintendo was thinking here. With that earlier stuff about the prices, I can at least see what the plan was, to keep it positive. It was just disingenuous and a mistake. Here, they have completely set up this dedicated Direct to fail, when it could have so easily been prevented. The days following the Switch 2 Direct, Nintendo Treehouse was on for hours and hours, playing a lot of Mario Kart World. At the same time, the Nintendo Switch 2 events began happening around the world as well, causing a ton of Mario Kart World news to hit the web and be spread, to the point almost every bit of information in the Mario Kart World Direct was already public knowledge at the time. Making matters even worse was that both Nintendo of America figureheads Doug Bowser, president, and Bill Trinan, vice president, went on record saying the Mario Kart World Direct would reveal why the price was $80. What I meant by that is that this game was fantastic and a huge title, so worth a little more. What that sounded like was, we have a lot more to show than you've seen so far. It caused hype that they knew they wouldn't be able to deliver on. They oversold a Direct that was more of an overview trailer summarizing all the news of the past 2 weeks for those who had missed out. They were the ones to link the $80 price tag to the Direct, as if one would justify the other, when they knew well and good that was not the case. What we had seen at that point was what we would be getting, which still looks amazing as a game, but had clearly not been enough to make people completely accept the new price. But this too could have been easily prevented. If the Mario Kart World Direct had been placed before the Treehouse streams, before the Switch 2 events, then it had suddenly had a lot of new information and wouldn't have felt like salt in the wounds of a substantial part of the fanbase. And now, of course, we must acknowledge that while I, and probably a good amount of you watching, are glued to any news that we can absorb about this new Mario Kart, not everyone is like that. Not everyone knew Toad's Factory was back, and that outfits would be linked to food items, etc. But that's the thing. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold more copies than people watch directs. Keeping up with Nintendo's broadcast is in and of itself something only a part of the consumer base does. And I don't need to do a fanbase-wide survey to know that the people that use smart steering are not watching Mario Kart directs. Don't get me wrong, I think smart steering is a fantastic addition and really helps make it so everyone can play. But this is a function for people who never play Mario Kart, like your little nephew and your grandma. They're not watching directs, but they're the only people who are interested in a segment detailing smart steering, or the fact that Mario is in the game, or that need an explanation on how time trials work. It holds no value to those people actually watching, and at best makes them zone out, and at worst makes them feel infantilized and not taken seriously. And where have we seen that before? Look, Mario Kart truly is a game for everyone, that is out of the question. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold and appealed to all sides of the world population, from Japan to Brazil, and from people who weren't even born when it came out, to folks who have been around longer than the invention of the go-kart. So that Nintendo wants to speak to all of these and relay that message, hey guys, there is a new Mario Kart and you're gonna want it, makes perfect sense. But I think the idea that an interview, preview event or Nintendo Direct, especially one focused on one game, is for everyone, is a misconception. So what is the result? The most loyal, dedicated part of the fanbase heard Bill Trinan hype up the Mario Kart Direct. They saw the Treehouse streams. They watched the videos from the preview events. Your grandma didn't. Your best friend who regularly plays Nintendo games but doesn't really follow the news necessarily didn't. And yet, the Direct they might not have even watched gave them new information and it didn't for you. That doesn't seem like the ideal way to go about things. Part of having an audience as big as Nintendo has is knowing that it isn't a uniform group that all thinks and does and lives the same way. And yet, with their marketing plans for Mario Kart World, it does kind of feel like they think it is. That because Mario Kart is the perfect franchise for everyone, from casual to hardcore, that the only tone of voice to use is a generic, broad one that appeals to everybody, rather than using multiple voices that suit each contingent of the audience. I mean, a segment about smart steering and the reveal that Mario, Luigi and Bowser in the game are perfect for, say, ads on children's TV networks or YouTube Kids. Footage of the cow and Waluigi wearing his vampire costume would be perfect for social media marketing, like TikTok for example. And dives into the charge jump and wall riding would be better served for a direct or some other deep dive item. This way you better manage the expectations, needs and desires of your audience. And while I don't want to pretend I'm some marketing guru, I mean, I'm very sure the people actually working on it at Nintendo are, generally speaking, way more capable at it than me. I do feel confident that Nintendo has some lessons to learn here. Otherwise, we'll have similar problems again when 3D Mario, the big Zelda or Smash get revealed. But hey, that's just how I feel. And it's easy to say in hindsight, of course. But how do you feel about Mario Kart World's marketing? And do you think Nintendo should have done better? And how would you fix their problems? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all my future Mario content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.